Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio. Brought to you by OnPay. Built in Atlanta, OnPay is the top-rated payroll and HR software anywhere. Get 1 month free at onpay.com. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Atlanta Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. But before we get started, it's important to recognize our sponsor, OnPay. Without them, we could not be sharing these stories. Today on Atlanta Business Radio, we have Delano Massey with JacobsEye. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's excited to be here, Lee.
Well, before we get too far into things, tell us about JacobsEye Marketing Agency. How you serving folks?
Well, JacobsEye is an agency of change, and, we have a mantra that is marketing that matters. Nelson Mandela's famous quote, "It's in your hands to make the world a better place," is just something we live by. And we are a full-service marketing agency. We have worked with numerous Fortune 500 marketing companies. We are, according to Bloomberg's report, one of the top 10 government marketing agencies in the country. We are very diverse, culturally diverse, and in our perspective.
Now, what is a government marketing agency? What does kind of your day-to-day work involve?
Yeah, so we focus in on serving the American public through the hands of a particular government agency. So say, an organization like, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, there are a number of public health communication efforts and initiatives that they have all the time. You see how they're driving a lot of the conversation surrounding COVID-19, and at the very beginning of it all, boy, they were basically driving culture in this country because everyone was tuning in to see what CDC leaders had to say. And we were instrumental in helping to carry out those messages. So if it's not the CDC, if it's the Department of Defense or the Department of, Education, what have you, we kind of focus our efforts on helping them to deliver their message as a government entity.
So now, how did you get into the government marketing niche? You could have picked any groups to be working with. How'd you land on government?
Well, it's funny, Lee. I mean, we cut our teeth in the commercial space, working with Coca-Cola and Adidas and Ford and, lots of big, huge commercial brands. But the problem I found, Lee, is that those projects were only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. To get a project for a whole year was like a really big deal. And those projects, although you may work with Nike, it's a 4-month engagement, and it only pays $250, $300, maybe $1 million worth of work, right? But on the government side, one of the things that made a lot of sense to me as an entrepreneur is you land a contract and it's for 3, 4, 5 years long. And you take some of the agencies, some of the marketing agencies that have done well. The marketing agency for the United States Marines have been on that contract for 76 years now. So it was just really smart, Lee, to get out the rat race of it all. We still have commercial clients, but we can really build something spectacular when we get a client that lasts for 5 years and is, in the 10, 15, $20 million contract range.
Now, your background's, you came from the military, right?
That's right. Now, happy to serve.
Well, we're proud that you served. And how does that kind of background and training impact you as a leader in the marketing world? Totally different industry, totally different kind of maybe people that you're working with. Yeah.
So while I served in the military, I was actually serving in the JAG Corps. So that's the Judge Advocate General. So it was the legal space. And so although I did get a chance to go out and get in the field and be a soldier, I spent most of my time, handling claims and looking at various circumstances that people found themselves in, and gathering evidence and looking at clues and putting an argument together, really telling a story. And although I actually started as a child actor in the entertainment space, so I was a storyteller even back then. And then it was interesting to be in the Army serving and basically, pulling all the facts together to tell a story related to, a criminal case or a great award that we were looking to give, or a claim that was being filed, or what have you. So it allowed me to strengthen the storytelling skill set, actually, and gave me a much broader perspective. It gave me a worldly perspective. So I was able to see what was happening in our communities and our neighborhoods in a different way than I was before I put on the uniform.
Now, when you moved into the marketing world and you were taking some of those leadership and storytelling skills there, what made you choose being an entrepreneur rather than just working for another agency?
What's funny, Lee, is I've actually been an entrepreneur my entire adult life. Even while I was serving in the military, on my 18th birthday, I was at the courthouse in Los Angeles getting my very first business license. And so before then, I sold flowers on the corner, and so I had a paper route, and I just did all these things to operate in the entrepreneurial space. So I've actually been in a business owner for a long time, and so coming out of the military, I knew what type of business I wanted to generate and curate. And I think the beauty of it all is with our mission, basically, to deliver marketing that matters. It comes because I've seen the need to drive a betterment to society, and if we can get paid to do it, boy, I never have to work another day of my life. It's all about making a difference, and that's what's happened. So I took that notion, that seed of a thought, and planted a seed, coming out of the service, and it has just really grown and bloomed into things beyond my wildest dreams already.
Now, any advice for other folks that are thinking about looking to get some work through the government or with the government? I understand that it's not that simple that you just raise your hand and say, I'd like to do some work. There's a lot of forms to fill out and a lot of bureaucracy to navigate.
Correct. The muddy waters of government contracting. Well, I tell you, going back to the military and my time with the JAG Corps, there was some training there that helped me to understand how to think like the government does. And sometimes that's a daunting task for most. So I had some training there, and then I took a lot. I got into a lot of training. So my advice would be to don't just jump in, don't do that, but to really understand how government contracting works. I know a lot of people have heard of government grants, but very few people have and understand what government contracts are and how they work. Unfortunately, we see in the news, quite a few contractors, being prosecuted because they make mistakes. So, you really got to take the time to understand that space. And there's some really good training to help you do it. But I would start with finding a good mentor. There are 4 different businesses that I've taken on as mentees to help them to grow their business into the government space. So if you find a good mentor who's been there and is doing it, that's a big step in the right direction, Lee.
So now, on top of all your work you're doing now with the agency, you also have a side hustle of a big seafood event. Can you talk about that?
Well, to my seafood lovers out there, yes, absolutely. The goal is to promote fresh and local sustainable food systems. And with our work with the Georgia Department of Agriculture and just going up and down the country, the state, looking at different farms, looking at different challenges, that agricultural producers have, and this growing divide between urban consumers and growers is just getting worse and worse. And so we said, well, what can we do to bridge the gap between, the urban consumers and the people who grow the food that they eat? And we looked at seafood, and we noticed that all the seafood coming off of the Georgia shores were either going to the north or to the south, but not coming into Atlanta. So most Atlanteans don't eat fresh seafood. It's the seafood that's been shipped in, because for 1,000 reasons. So we said, okay, well, let's collaborate with UGA and the Atlanta Braves and the Georgia Aquarium and talk about sustainable seafood in a way that's different and unique, and actually bring in some wild Georgia shrimp and some other Georgia seafood to the city so that people can taste the difference. A lot of fun. And we had planned to do it again this year. The Braves asked us to come back and do it again this year. But of course, COVID-19 hit and we lost our opportunity in that. But we will be back next year. It's going to be a lot of fun, Lee. I expect to see you out there.
Well, if I get invited, I'll show up because I love seafood. So you can count me in.
Okay.
Maybe you need a media sponsor. I'm happy to jump on that.
Oh, well, that'd be perfect. That'd be perfect. We should do that, Lee, for sure.
Well, tell me about the name JacobsEye. How did that come about? Is there meaning behind that?
So, before the military, I was looking at, I went to UCLA grad school for film and television, writing for film and television. And one of my professors said to me way back when, he said, when you're writing, you need to identify yourself and understand the filters that's coming, that the work is filtering through. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, you're going to influence the story based upon your particular set of lenses. And I said, okay, well, let me do that. What's important to me? So if you hire me to do a job or to perform work, what's going to come out of me and infect the story, in a good or bad way? Well, I identified 4 tenets, Lee. One, forgiveness, acceptance, courage, and love. So I knew that I had this propensity towards those 4 things, and they would just show up. It would be too difficult for me to hide it or to not be who I am. So I might as well just take on assignments that align with the person that would drive the story, right? And so I just started looking around for a way to associate those 4 tenets with a character or a phrase or a place, a location, and I landed on Jacob in the Bible. And Jacob's got a very interesting story, but it was a good way for us to say, hey, look, if you hire us, we want you to know what you're buying. And we're not just another marketing agency or another film or television production company at the time that would go to work for you, but we want to tell you who we are so you know what you're buying.
And that becomes
that's the birth of Jacob's Eye, and the eye is the lens of Jacob in these 4 tenets.
And then that illustrates what your true north is, that what your values and purpose are.
That's right. Oh my gosh, absolutely. And it was so great to hear. Just the other day, my neighbors, we were talking about kind of what's going on in the community and what's happening. Again, one of my neighbors looked at me and he said, Delano, it's so clear that you are a community grower. And I looked at him and I'm like, that's exactly what I'm trying to be, a community grower and delivering community outreach and impact. And for someone to just say it like so matter of factly, I said, okay, I guess I'm on the right path here.
Yeah, that's great to hear that from an acquaintance like that. That it shows that it's become part of you. It's not just something. It's not a tagline for an agency.
No, exactly.
Now, you mentioned you're one of the top 10 fastest growing government marketing agencies. Tell us about some of your latest wins.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, we had been working for the Army and some other folks and CDC and we primarily kind of focus in on recruitment marketing and public health communication. So a recruitment marketing opportunity surfaced with the Air Force's Air National Guard. And, they reached out to me. I looked at them. They said, we want you to respond. We want you to put a proposal together. Let us know what you can do. There is competition. There are a lot of folks who want this work. But we went to work, rolled up our sleeves and we chased that opportunity and we won it. Lee, we won it. It was a $112 million contract for 3 years.
Wow. I
had never won any contract that large. We had won $5 million, $10 million contracts with the government, but to jump up to 112 in one swoop was a big deal. You call that a game changer, Lee. Game changer.
Sure.
But what's really cool is not only did we win the work, this last year in 2019, we really blew out all the other military components related to their recruitment goals. Our goals were, our recruitment efforts and results. There's an organization called Jammers, and they kind of monitor, from the Army to the Marines to the Navy and what have you. They monitor the recruitment efforts and who's doing well and who's not. And we came in number one over all these other military components for 2019. And we put together a really smart local recruitment event tour that went to a group called the Reggie's National Organization of Advertisers. And our campaign set side by side with the Got Milk campaign, with the Gatorade campaign, and the Nestle campaign for 2019. And we came in number one.
Wow.
For the work that we did for the Air National Guard. So just really cool to win the contract, to change my life, and move and allow that to move the company to a whole new level, but to actually deliver impact that was life altering for so many. And with all the forest fires and the hurricanes and what happened in Puerto Rico, it was the Air National Guard and the Army National Guard that's called to duty to deal with all of these things. They are the first responders to first responders. When the police need help, these are the folks that they call in to help them, right? And so for us to be able to collaborate with this group that's protecting us and our neighborhoods around the country, it's just really meaningful work. So we just did the best we could, and then that led to new opportunities. And we're now the marketing agency of record for the United States Secret Service, and I won't get into politics last night. I won't get into politics, Lee, but it was a very interesting debate last night, I have to say, with our presidential candidates. But it's nice to know that we have associated with the group that will protect all of our leaders as we continue to, create impact, not only in this country, but around the world.
Well, congratulations on all your success. And it's a great story to show that when you have a true north and you have kind of this mission to serve and you do work that matters, amazing things can happen.
Absolutely.
So now if somebody wanted to learn more about your firm, whether they're a government marketing agency or a government agency or not, I'm sure you'll take all the work at this point. Where should they go to learn more or connect with somebody on your team or yourself?
Yeah. Hey, thanks for giving me that chance to talk about that. So, of course, our website is www.JacobsEye.com, JacobsEye.com. And you can learn about a lot of our projects. You can learn about our leadership team. You can learn about, our mission there. And you can also reach us directly at info@JacobsEye.com. And our office line is 678-382-4645. I'd love to hear from you and love to see how we can help, every brand out there reach the audience that they're looking to reach. And hopefully there's a goal there to impact some sort of positive change. Boy, that really get us excited.
That's right. Amen to that. I think that a lot of us are on that same journey.
Awesome.
Well, thank you again for sharing your story. You're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Lee. Thank you for the time today.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Atlanta Business Radio. And remember, this work would not be possible without the support of our sponsor, OnPay. Please support them so we can continue to share these important stories.
Today's episode of Atlanta Business Radio is brought to you by OnPay. Built in Atlanta, OnPay is the top-rated payroll and HR software anywhere. Get 1 month free at onpay.com.